Welcome to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast, where we empower women to connect authentically, build strategically, and live life unapologetically AF. It's time for women to embrace that they are powerful at their core and to leverage their expertise, resources, and relationships to build their business, their brand, and their badassery. I'm your host, Kelly Charles Collins, and we invite you to subscribe to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast. Our episodes drop every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So listen, enjoy, share, and subscribe. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ladies Who Leverage podcast. And today I have an amazing woman. Her name is Precious Rodgers. And Precious is going to talk to us about Pinterest. Yes, Pinterest of all things. I think a lot of us don't really know how to leverage Pinterest. And so Precious is going to talk to us about that. So let me tell you about her, though. She is a Pinterest marketing expert and ad specialist, or Pinterest badass for short. Now, y'all know when I saw that, I was all over it because I am all about badass and badassery. So see, unleash your inner badass. So I'm all about that. She's also the CEO of the Pinning Oasis, which is a boutique Pinterest marketing agency that helps online coaches, service providers, and content creators pimp Pinterest to drive more people and profit to their business with and without Pinterest ads. When she's not giving out high energy, good laughs, and sunshine vibes, you can find her sipping her favorite drink of the day, dancing around for fun, or watching her latest Netflix binge. Precious, welcome to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. And so, yes, I love everything badass and badassery. Yeah. So that just really intrigued me. But I want, before we get into everything that you're doing with Pinterest, because I know that you did not start out that way, right? In terms of being a Pinterest expert, give the audience a little bit about your background so they understand who you are and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, so I started out as a virtual assistant. So back in 2019, I really just wanted to be able to travel. So, that freedom that we all kind of go for. So I wanted to be able to travel. And my goal was to live in different countries for a month or so at a time, because I actually, from 2015 to 2018, I lived abroad in South Korea. So when I got back, I was like, oh, I want to travel more. I want to see the world even more. And I can't really do that with a 9-to-5, even though I have both the bachelor's and a master's in IT that I still have student loans for, but that's neither here nor there. So I heard about being a VA and I was like, okay, well, this is something I can do. It seemed pretty simple. I'm pretty good with computers, admin things. And that's how I got started. But I quickly realized I do not like to do admin work for myself or others. And I always loved social media. So I started out as an Instagram marketer and also doing Pinterest because I had a client who was interested in Pinterest and I kind of got thrown into it. Yeah. But I loved it so much. I loved how it was one, I call it the underdog. It is definitely underrated. Most people don't use it for a marketing platform. They don't understand that it can be used that way. So I was like, I want to really focus on Pinterest. And by the end of 2020, that was really what I was focusing on. And it just took off since then.
Yeah. And I don't want you to sell yourself short. So I want you, because, sometimes people, if you think about social media the way it is now, right? Everybody is a TikTok expert, an Instagram expert, so, whatever expert. But you just mentioned that you have a whole background in IT. So talk about that so that people understand who it is that they're speaking to and that they don't think that, she's just one of these other people who, decided that all of a sudden she's, an expert in this area.
Yeah, having a background in information technology really allows me to learn things much, much faster. I really have a really good understanding of technology in general. So when things like systems go down, I'm just like, guys, it's technology. Or when changes happen, it's technology. It's going to happen. It's going to change. Even what I've learned, when I learned when I was in school, it's completely different to what they're learning now because it moves so fast. So for me, it's been very easy to learn how to be a marketer. And it's been also my background with being an English teacher in Korea really helped me with teaching because I realized I love to teach people, just maybe not middle schoolers, but it really, both of those things together really it's something that I realized really has helped me as a business owner.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted people to understand who you are, right? And that, because I think sometimes people get lost in the noise of what's happening, just like you said, with technology and everything is changing. So you have this client who wants to learn about Pinterest. What was it about Pinterest that as you got into it, you were like, yeah, this is the place that I need to be?
Yeah, it was just the amount of people that I saw that wasn't using it. And while I was helping my client, so she was an Instagram influencer and also a blogger, and she had an online a lot of online digital products for learning how to become an influencer on Instagram and things like that, and to also travel because that was her industry. And to see that there are so many people using this platform differently than we think they are. And there are so many people in the online space, I feel like, that aren't using it at all because they think, oh, well, Pinterest is just for DIYers or to find like my wedding inspiration. And I'm like, you're missing the point that people are going there to search or become inspired by something. And I knew that I actually used Pinterest when I was first, like when I was a VA, I used it to find like examples of contracts, to help, even when I was learning Pinterest, like to help me understand Pinterest more. And I realized I'm using this platform to find things that I'm getting on people's email lists, and they are getting me into their courses or getting me to buy their products. So this is exactly what other people in the industry are trying to do as well. So why aren't more people using it?
So explain Pinterest to people, because, everybody, probably most people, I'll say, know Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? And we hear about Pinterest, but for me, right, and I'll be just use myself as an example. Yeah, I Pinterest to me is like, oh, I want to know how to set up my office or what, right? So I go look for that. I've never really gone on there to look for information. So talk to me about Pinterest just generally, and then more specifically as an information vehicle.
Yeah, so Pinterest genuinely, what people forget is that it is a search engine. So they think, oh, it's just another social media network, but it's not a social media. It has social aspects, but it is a search engine. So when you go there, you are typing something into the search bar to find. You're looking for a solution, or maybe you're looking for inspiration, but you're ultimately looking to discover something. That's what you on Pinterest doing. Even if you go there and you're just scrolling, everything you're looking at is giving you information about something. It is an information platform, so you can learn something, be inspired by something, or purchase something. So that what a lot of people miss when they're thinking about Pinterest is like, what are people actually doing going there? And they have a high buyer's mindset or a planning mindset. They're either planning for something or they're looking to buy something. And then the second thing was, once when you go in there, you see a lot of information, and I don't know how people miss that. So it's like we have to remember that things have changed, just like Instagram has changed from being just like a photo uploading platform. But for some people, they still see Instagram that way. They still see Instagram as a place where you can just put your life pictures and videos and things like that, because they don't see the side where people are using it for marketing. And the same thing applies to Pinterest. You might look at it in one way because of how you use it, but people are very much using it as a marketer. I like to say, if bigger companies are on there, they're on there for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
the Targets and the Home Depots and things like that, they're using the platform for a reason.
Yeah. You just taught me something, Precious, because I never really, I never thought about it in what you just said, right? Because I just think of Pinterest as being another social media platform. But what you just said, and very particularly when you said about it being a search engine, and I hope that everyone catches this distinction that she just brought up, is that when we go on Facebook, when we go on Instagram, when we go on TikTok, we are shown things, right? We are being given the information. But when you talk about Pinterest as being and I really never thought about this, when you go on Pinterest, I actually have to go in and type something. I don't go on there and I'm like, unless I guess if I'm following people, but generally you go on there to type in something that you're specifically looking for. And so when we think about it in terms of like, well, how do people use Google, and how do they use Bing, and how do they use all that? They're going to search for something. And when somebody is searching, as opposed to just being shown whatever there is, there is a different mindset, right? Like you said, they're going on there because they're planning something. Or like me, when I was designing my office, I was like, I want to go see pictures of what people were doing, right? You're going there for a very, very specific reason.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about marketing and how you can target people, this is really a way that you can do it with that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do on what is social media.
Right. And then the other key thing that I love to point out is that Pinterest is very much about your content. It's not about you. They do not care about really you as a person. Like you was mentioning, like even if you have followers or if you're following people, the people that I don't even know half the people that I follow on Pinterest. Like I don't know who they are really. Like I might follow them just because I came across some content and I'm like, oh, I just follow you since it's here. But there's on Pinterest, there's like their home feed, which is a very much a smart feed. So it's going to be curated based on your last few searches. And then you do have a follower feed. I haven't checked lately, but I'm pretty sure they still have the follower feed. They haven't gotten rid of it, but you have a follower feed. So if you do want to see the people you are following and their content, you can look that way as well. But most people are usually on their home feed, and you're going to see your pins from your last few recent searches. So things around that. And the thing about Pinterest is you're not going on there to see what people you're following are up to, as opposed to like Facebook, Instagram. I'm actually interested more so in the person. And if I see content that they're posting, that's cool. But I'm really going there and my mindset is much more differently. Like I'm going there to engage with them. I'm going there to interact with them on Instagram. On Pinterest, I'm going there for the content. I'm going there to find something, to discover something. It's really content focused, as opposed to Instagram and other social media networks. I'm more engagement focused, though you're going to get content that way as well.
Wow. I told you I was thinking about Pinterest, but I'm like, I have no idea what's happening over there. And when I go on there, I don't even necessarily know how to use it. So if somebody is, looking for clients, if somebody is a coach, a service provider, an expert, whatever, speaker, what are some of the tips that you would give them in terms of leveraging Pinterest to gain more clients or to gain exposure and visibility that may eventually turn into business?
Yeah, the main thing I would say is, especially if you're someone that is kind of like digital based, like a lot of your stuff is like courses, you're looking for clients and you're not like, you don't have like a physical product, it's really going to be important to have a really good funnel already in place, because people on Pinterest, they are new to you. So they are like the people at the top of your funnel. You are using Pinterest to feed people into your funnel, to get more eyes on your content, to get people into your email list, to get people listening to your podcast more. It's really that entry point where they're becoming aware of who you are. So once you can drive their traffic that way, that's when you're going to start nurturing them via email or other social media platforms, and warming them up to you so that they can convert in the way that you want them to. A lot of times people think they're going to take people from Pinterest straight to a conversion, and that's not a great way to look at it, especially if you're sending them to something that can be considered a high ticket offer, or something that is just not an easy yes for someone. Like if you send me to a $300 product and I don't know who you are because I just clicked on your pin from Pinterest, I'm not going to purchase it because I don't know who you are. Maybe a $37 product that I'm like, if it's not that great, I won't feel that bad about it. Or, a freebie that I can sign up for and then get to know you later, and then I become a client of yours. But to send people directly to like a discovery call, I don't recommend, because one, they don't really know who you are. They're not really looking for that. They're looking for your content to give them solutions that they're looking for right then.
So, and I know that one of the things that you talk about is, so you talk about having the content, but you also talk about there being a strategy. So I want to deal with both of those things. So when we're talking about content, so we see, like on Instagram, right? Heavily now reels, video focused, very short snippets
form,
of information, right? Short form information. Facebook, more personalized information. When you're talking about content on Pinterest, since you're saying like the audience really isn't coming there to know me personally, they want to know what I know. Mm-hmm. Is there a better way, I'll just use the word better, or a more strategic way of using your content on Pinterest than on those other marketing vehicles?
Yeah, it depends on what your actual content is. So if it's like podcasts, or if it's like video content, blog content, you want to have things that you can drive people directly to your website from Pinterest. That's the great thing about it. Your static or standard pins can go directly to someplace, preferably on your website, because the Pinterest is going to prioritize content going to your website because they know that is verified content, or your website is verified, so it's not going someplace they don't know. And then there is a type of content that you can put onto Pinterest that does not link anywhere currently, and that is called idea pins. And I would say my only caveat is you can tag products in it, and you can link your affiliate links, or if you like brand sponsorships, but right now you can't just link anywhere. But these are very similar to like IG stories, reels, TikToks, and things like that. So if you go on Pinterest, you will see something very similar to that. And those are called idea pins. And that is content that you can actually, like, I say put on Pinterest in the sense that it's like the actual piece of content. So if you're giving 3 tips about how to grow your podcast, that is content that can be right then and there that you can find on on Pinterest without having to leave the platform. But you can also send them off the platform, which you definitely should.
Okay. So let's talk about podcasts, right? So many people have podcasts. If they have a podcast, and listen, we're not going to give away all her secrets. You want all the secrets, you got to go pay her. But in general, if you have a podcast, or maybe you have an online show, or you have your YouTube channel, or something where you have longer form content that you want someone to go and connect with, is it better to do a static photo, or is it, do you want to use snippets? Like, what is the best way to kind of leverage Pinterest? So just tell us the what, and don't tell us the how.
Yes. So I think it's very important to learn how to repurpose your content in a way that really works for multiple aspects of Pinterest. So there's different types of Pinterest pins. So there are static pins, which is most people are very familiar with. They're just pretty much images that link back to someplace else. There are video pins, and video pins, the title can be misleading, being that they can be a video, but they also can be anything that's animated. So if it's an MP4 file, it's considered a video pin. And then there's idea pins, like I mentioned. So you can take, say, for instance, that podcast episode, and you can see how you can turn it into those 3 different types of pin types, because you want to give people different options, but it's all linking to that same piece of content. So it's not, you creating a whole bunch of different pieces of content, like your different podcast episodes. You're just putting it on Pinterest in different ways so that people can connect with it, and then hopefully go to your podcast episode on your website.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about Pinterest?
It's the social media side. And let's see what else. That it's not, they think it's only for DIYers, crafters, and things like that. They're still kind of stuck in that mindset from the 2010s. And it's like, guys, just like other platforms, things have completely changed. If you don't go on Pinterest to see if people can find your content or content similar to yours, how can you say that it's not going to work for you? Because I know people who are in the real estate industry that use Pinterest, and Pinterest work really well for them. In light fixtures businesses, and Pinterest work really well for them. So it really depends on how you can figure out how to use it, and don't assume that it can't work for your business.
Do you think product-based businesses fare better than service businesses, or?
I think it can depend, because I've seen success on both sides. I think that as a product-based business, you have more opportunities there, especially now because Pinterest is adding in a lot of newer things that's going to really help those in the e-commerce space, or selling any type of products, because they'll be able to kind of shop from Pinterest, which is going to be magnificent for them. And I think because of more people probably come to Pinterest for purchasing a product, they're used to that still, that they can have more success. Whereas I feel like people still are not using Pinterest like they can, but I do think it's still very successful if you are not like selling a product as well, because I use Pinterest and I am pretty good with it. So.
Now, is there a business that you would think maybe Pinterest is not for you?
I will only say it's not for you if you do not have content. If you don't have anywhere to send Pinterest traffic, then it's not going to be really something that you can be I really feel like it won't be that successful for you, because where are you sending the Pinterest traffic to? Or if you're not willing to like create idea plans for on the platform, what are you doing with Pinterest? It's kind of like I have had people who don't want to create content, but they want to use Pinterest, and I'm like, I don't know, is this gonna work? Like the only exception is if you have like a lead magnet and you want to run Pinterest ads that way, because you don't need as much content because you're running ads. But if you want to use it organically, you're definitely going to need content.
Okay. Yeah, because and as you speak more and I'm listening more to what you're saying, if you really think about Pinterest as Google, right? Similar to Google.
I would say a mixture of Google and YouTube.
Okay. But what I was going to say is
also a search engine.
Right. But what I was going to say in terms of the connection that I'm making, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, from listening to you, the connection that I'm making, if I'm thinking about, okay, well, how is this different? And how do I really think about this strategically? If I think about what you were just saying, listen, if you don't have anywhere to send people to, then maybe this is not the place for you to be. And that's what made me think about Google. So if somebody's searching for Pinterest expert, mm-hmm. and you don't have anything like a website, you don't have anything, you're not coming up in the search. So it's kind of useless. So that's what I was thinking about in terms of that connection, to kind of get people's brain wrapped around what it is you're saying in terms of actually using this as a vehicle to push people.
Right. It's definitely a vehicle to drive traffic to your different pieces of content. You know, you can't really use the vehicle successfully if you have no place to go. Like you just drive, where are you sending the traffic to? And it's not good practice or best practice to send it to like your website homepage or your services page, because people are not really using it that way. Like I always use the example of, you won't see too many people on Pinterest searching for a life coach. They're more so searching for ways to better their life, ways to be more happier, ways to, meditate or something like that, where your content could be what they're searching for. And then they get on your email list and realize they need a life coach. But before, they wasn't thinking they needed a life coach. They were just thinking, I want to be more happier. How do I be more happier? And now I'm getting your email list because you had 10 ways to be happier in 2022. And then I'm like, wow, I love all the stuff she's talking about. And then I'm like, oh, I need her to coach me. So you have to think that way when it comes to Pinterest. Like, what are they actually here for? What are we searching for? And not what you do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good, people always ask you that, like, think about what is the benefit, because we like to talk a lot about what we do as opposed to the benefit. And if we start to think about that, and especially if we're going to be leveraging Pinterest, and think about what would people naturally be searching for, right? Like you said, they're not necessarily going to be searching for, I need a mentor, or I need a business strategist. Now I need to learn how to start a business. I need learn how to do whatever, right?
How to make more money online. Like that's what they're searching for. They're not thinking like business coach. Like, no, like I'll probably go to even, maybe Google for that. But even then it's like,
I think even there they don't.
No, I think for that, like a coach, you're probably either somebody's going to recommend it to you, or you're going to come across somebody on like Instagram that is a coach. But like what I'm searching for has more so my problems, my pain points, what I need help with, or what I think I need help with.
Yeah. And so you talked about, using Instagram organically, but there's also the ability to use Pinterest ads. So talk about Pinterest ads and, and any differentiation between like a Facebook ad, which is like so hard to figure out and now so expensive. And then, Instagram ads and LinkedIn ads and Google ads and all of it.
I would say the one thing that I love the most about Pinterest ads is that they do not, I like to say, disappear. So when you run Facebook ads, Google ads, or whatever like that, once you turn them off, they are off, like they're gone. They don't exist anymore on people's feed or whatever. Whereas Pinterest, once you turn them off, because when they are running on the platform, because they are running like they are part of the platform, you have to save it to a board. It's like a regular pin that you're printing out. People can save that to their own boards. once they are saving it to their own boards, now it's going to start growing organically. So if you turn off that ad, those ads that people have saved are still out there. So it's still able to get a lot of traction. It's still able to help your business long term without you even spending any more money. So I think that is like one of the best things about it. It can be cheaper depending on your industry. It can be very much different than Facebook ads, but I like to think they work well together, but it depends on your goal. So I have like a client right now. In March, we did a 7x return on ad spend, which is completely amazing. And they also did a 3x return on ad spend on Facebook. You might say, oh my God, why are they even on Facebook? But they're still getting a good ad spend, return on ad spend on both platforms. But the way that Pinterest works is differently than how Facebook works. The buyer mindset is different. So with their industry, which is in the DIY industry, it is going to be a little bit different for them on Facebook versus Pinterest. But it's this, to be able to say like I'm getting a 7x return on ad spend from Pinterest ads is like amazing to me. So I think it's underrated like everything else.
Yes.
And it's underrated. People don't know about Pinterest ads because they haven't been around that long. I think they started 2018. They're not as robust as Facebook ads and they work a little bit slower, but once they start working, they can be amazing for your results. You just got to expect the unexpected with Pinterest ads. So
Yeah.
definitely recommend them.
Yeah, ads anywhere, right? You think that it's gonna be like the end all and be all, but it really isn't, right? All of these things are trial and error.
No.
Out,
Yes.
whether it works for your business and should you use it. And just like you were saying, you made 7x on Pinterest, 3x on Facebook, but you're also maybe talking to different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting at different audiences. And where you say, where you're explaining that on Pinterest, they have more of a buyer mindset. They're coming there to buy. They're coming there
Yes.
to look for something. Whereas on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're coming there to look at something.
Right. And I was seeing something on Pinterest today because I was actually preparing some of my social media content. And Pinterest says that Pinterest ads is the only platform where ads is an additive to it because it just shows up naturally in the platform. You are already searching for stuff, so you are just there naturally searching for things. So if the ad pops up, you really can't even fully tell it's an ad unless you scroll down a little bit. So it just looks like it's normally there. You're already there searching for something. Whereas on Facebook, Instagram, it can be a little disruptive because it's just coming up in my search feed or my home feed or whatever it's called. And I'm not really here for that. I'm here for this. Like I'm searching for something on Pinterest. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how, do you focus only on Pinterest or do you work with your clients on other platforms also?
Only on Pinterest. I am completely obsessed.
She is the Pinterest badass. Yeah. And so one of the things, going from a VA to now doing your business, having your business in Pinterest, the marketing agency that you have, this is all about, we're talking mostly to entrepreneurs about being an entrepreneur. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, how that's been for you. And what have you found to be the most challenging thing?
Oh, people always ask me that. And I don't know. I just feel like everything happens for a reason. So I think the most, but when I think about it, let me really think. Being, I think leaning into my niche, like leaning into Pinterest, and it was scary at first because by the time I decided to go for Pinterest, I was doing both Instagram and Pinterest, and I had mostly Instagram clients. So to lean into Pinterest and then to not accept any more clients for Instagram was very, very hard. And then because I'm a true believer of the universe, you have to be careful what you say because then all of my Instagram clients was like, oh, we're going to be under our contract soon. I'm just like, huh? But it all worked out for me last year. So I think that was really the most challenging is just trusting the journey and believing that if this is the area that I want to focus in, I need to lean into it.
Yeah. What has been the most rewarding thing?
I think trusting myself again, but in the sense of being okay with being my most authentic self because I'm very colorful, fun, hyper energy. And showing that on social media has really been like what's really helped me grow because people love to see my personality. And I think a lot of times when we get into business, we sometimes still have that corporate mindset and we think we know what professional is. And it's like there are different levels to professionalism. And I think that comes with like the work I'm actually doing. Like I want to be professional when I'm working with the client. But as far as how I show up on social media, like if I want to curse, obviously Pinterest badass, I'm going to curse. Like that's going to be okay with my people because they don't mind me using curse words because that's just what I do. So I think being able to really lean into who I am and just show up as me has been really, really made me successful.
And people have defined what they think is professional, but what is professional, right? It's how you define it in whatever space that you're in. And like you, I use badass, I use AF, right? And it's funny that I sent out an email to my email list one time. And this lady wrote me back and she was like, not everybody is okay with this kind of language. And I said, yes, I agree. I totally I agree with you. And I said, but I'm not for everybody. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and I think
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we have to be okay with that because there is no true definition. It's just what we've been hearing over and over and over and over again. But it's like you didn't start your business to still be by those or constricted by those rules of society and 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. So I've had somebody say that to me in my email too, and I'm just like, okay, well, at the bottom of the emails, there's an unsubscribe list button. Right. And just so you know, I pay for you to be here. So if you have to unsubscribe, like I'm okay with that. Like you're not supposed to be here. So
yeah. And that's very, very important. And what you said about, just leaning in to what you think. And I'm like you, I believe everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we get the reason and the answer immediately. Sometimes it takes a minute for you to be like, oh, that's why.
Okay.
That's why that happened. But I think it's true that you have to just lean in, right? You have to be all in. And I thought about sometimes like, saying badass women entrepreneurs and, sometimes like, do I say it? And I said, no, I have to say it because otherwise they're going to come into a space that they don't realize that that's what's happening in this space. And then they're like, oh, right. So you just have to be authentically who you are. And like you said, your people will come, right? Your people will come to you. And, you've done a really smart thing in terms of picking this Pinterest because people really don't understand. Like I have listened and I know Clubhouse, when I used to be on Clubhouse all the time, this is an area that I would hear women on there talking about, men too, but a lot of women talking about like, don't sleep on Pinterest. Like, don't sleep on Pinterest. And I'm like, well, I'm going to sleep on Pinterest because
I think I forgot to mention the one thing that the reason why I think most people probably sleep on it is because they hear that it's not something that works overnight. It's not something that's quick. It is a slow burn, but it goes back to it being a search engine and it's going to take time. So this is my favorite thing to say is that a pin has a lifespan of at minimum 3.5 months. That means at minimum, people will see your content for 3.5 months. Whereas Facebook, Instagram, well, we'll just say Instagram has, I think, 24 to 48 hours. So that's why you got to keep repeating yourself and promoting yourself and promoting your products for people on Pinterest because they can find it at any time in their journey that it's going to last much longer. So yes, it's going to take much longer for something like that to start working. But if we're trying to sustain our business long term, that shouldn't be a problem. That should be something that you're like, I'm going to slowly focus on it so that 6 months from now it can really start working for me. But if we keep waiting, it's like, oh, you want it to work tomorrow? It's not. It's not.
And now we're so used to that, right? We want everything like overnight. We want it to happen immediately. There needs to be an immediate return on investment. And it was interesting. I saw that you were on another podcast, but there was something about not only does Pinterest drive traffic to existing content forever, but 60% of its 450 million users are women.
Yes. And that is, it's been growing with the men, which is kind of cool to see. But it definitely is like, I think of those 60%. So if you do work with like moms or something, I think 80% are moms.
Wow.
So that is, yeah, the numbers over there is really great. So if that is your clientele, you should definitely see what's happening over there. Because they're there. The users are
Yeah.
there. They're just waiting for your content.
And what is it that you tell people, like, what do you do to help them with, Pinterest?
Yeah, so I'm like, how many ways can you work with me? Not that many. So I have ultimately I teach you how to leverage Pinterest by driving more people and profit to your business through this platform. But I can teach it or I can do it for you. So those are the two ways. So through my course, I teach you how, and then I also have what I call a VIB, so very important baddie day or badass day, where I will teach. Usually, with that one is for CEOs who have like someone on your team that wants to learn, and they want them to like implement it for them. They don't ever want to do it themselves. They're just like, I'm here to learn what I need to do, but they're here to actually learn how to implement it. And then if you're like, I don't want to do anything like this, then that's hands off, and me and my team will actually do your account for you.
That's awesome. And I call the women and ladies who leverage baddies. So we are kindred spirits. So Precious, thank you so much for all of this information. I know that you have totally enlightened me in terms of Pinterest. And I was saying to you before we started that I had been talking to my assistant about like put this on our board, right? On our Trello board, that this is something we need to look into and to learn about, because I keep hearing people say this. And so, as Precious just said, there's so many women, right? So most of this audience is women and women entrepreneurs, and your clients are women. And so if you can figure out a way and find another vehicle to get to those women in a way that you can do your content a little differently. And she's not telling you to create new content. You just got to leverage the content you already have. Right?
A lot of people have so much evergreen content that they're just sitting on because you're constantly on like a content creation hamster wheel. It's like, now you need to figure out, how can I use this content and get more people seeing it, so I'm not always creating content.
Yeah. Because I think I know for me, that is I'm not creating another thing. I don't want to create anything. But, for all of you, tell us, Precious, how can they reach you? How can they find you?
Yeah, so I am Precious Rodgers. So PreshRodgers. I said that really fast. Across all platforms. So that is Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. That's where you will find me across all those platforms.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that you have all her links. Yes. They will be in the show notes so that you can find her. But again, there's always something new happening. Technology is always going. We know always that, changing. Instagram's always changing. Facebook is changing. There's always something happening, and it can be overwhelming. But the goal is to look at what it is that you're doing. What is the vehicle that best serves you and the way that you need to get across to your audience? So for those of you who haven't even given it a look, and maybe for those of you who need to give it a second look, go check out Pinterest and see if, you should become a pinner. I don't know what they call them over there, but that's what I'm going to call them.
Well, the users are pinners. So pinners. You'll be a pinner too.
Yeah. So go over there and, check it out. And if you just like, I'm not doing this, don't want to do this, then you can check out.
I'm here.
help you get it done. She is the Pinterest baddie. So Precious, thank you so much for being a guest on the Ladies Who Leverage podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This has been awesome. Like I said, I learned something. And the whole goal of Ladies Who Leverage in our podcast and our whole ecosystem is to make sure that you are empowered, educated, and entertained. So make sure that you're always listening to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast. Our new episodes drop Mondays, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for you women entrepreneurs who want to be baddies, who want a community and a mentor, me, who is going to help you to connect authentically, build your business strategically, and so that you can live life unapologetically AF, then I'm going to invite you to get on a call with me and let's talk about where in our entire ecosystem, our Ladies Who Leverage ecosystem is the right fit for you. So you just have to go to ladieswholeverage.com to check us out. We also have a magazine that comes out quarterly. So go to lwlmagazine.com. Our new issue is coming out April 22nd. I'm so excited about that. Cannot wait for you to see it. But just get involved with the Ladies Who Leverage ecosystem. On Tuesdays, we have Connect and Collabosaurce, which is a weekly meetup, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come hang out with us, lwlconnect.com. I know it's a lot of stuff, but that's the whole point. It's to get you connected. So stay in touch with us, ladieswholeverage.com, and make sure that you subscribe to the podcast and share it out. And as always, go unleash your badassery and live life unapologetically AF. Until next time, take care. Thank you for joining us. This podcast has been brought to you by Lady Lawyer Media. Make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you are a female entrepreneur or business owner and you're looking for a safe, supportive ecosystem to create and share ideas and information, build a thriving business, and live life unapologetically AF, then I'd invite you to apply to Ladies Who Leverage. We're an exclusive community of badass female entrepreneurs. So if that sounds like you, go to www.lwlcollab.com. That's LWLCOLLAB as in boy.com so that you can apply to join us in our amazing badass network. And until then, I want you to unleash your badassery and live life unapologetically AF.